morning. About 4 o'clock this morning, couldn't wait to give God some praise. I knew he was going to be here today. Oh, thank you, Lord Jesus. Glory in his name. Glory to God. Worship his name. Sometimes you got to get it out of your system. Sometimes you got to shake those chains loose. You got to wiggle and swerve and give God the glory and praise. Sometimes you have to worship his name. Anyway, based off of nothing but what you know, how his name is in his house. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Worship him, God. Yes, Lord Jesus. Yes, Lord Jesus. Oh, God. Wow. Praise is a war cry. We are fighting the devil. When that song say stop on the devil, a war cry. You can't fight no battle if you can't praise him. Glory to God. Y'all ain't ready for this. If right here by myself, y'all not see the Holy Spirit in here this morning? I need about 5 people to say hallelujah. Tell me that they understand. I'm not by myself this morning. I received this card the other day. I know you can't see it, but I'm going to read what it says. It says, Dr. Jesus Family Practice. Phone number, Jeremiah 33:3. Your scripture or prescription. Confess these 3 times a day or as needed. Doctor's signature. Jesus. This is a hospital for the sick. Whether you are spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally sick, this is the place to get it fixed. And God God has a prescription pad right here waiting for you to take your dose. Take it with your breakfast. Take it with your lunch. Take it with your dinner. Take your medicine on your job. Or when the kids is driving you crazy, take your prescription. Glory to God. Amen. Amen. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to be obedient to His name. Obedience comes with great reward. The book of James, the first chapter. It starts with James, a bondservant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. The word bondservant has shown up in scriptures 54 times across the Bible. Now, God gave us one little book, and He said this is the roadmap to your life. And some stories are shorter than others, and especially in the Gospels, when they tell the same story over and over, you see where some expound more than others. But God puts the important stuff in here, that if you follow these key points, you'll make it to heaven. So if the fact that bondservant is in the word 54 times, it's got to be important. It's got to be something that God is trying to get through our head. The first place you'll see it is in Genesis 44. So it starts in the first book of the Bible. And then in the epistles and in the letters and all of Paul's writings, it says it in almost the first verse of the first chapter in almost every single one of Paul's books. As an example, now he's writing these letters to all these different churches. Paul does. And he starts by saying, I'm either an apostle of Jesus Christ or I'm a bondservant of the Lord. That should tell you something. The first things first, let me give you an understanding of who I am and what it means to be saved. And James does the same thing in his book. And he makes it very clear that he is a bond servant. So I had to go to Webster's, good old Webster's, and see what is the definition of a bond servant. Webster says, one bound to serve without wages. Bond servant. So I dug a little deeper. The Greek word for bond servant is metapha. Metapha meaning a slave. Meaning that we do this for Him. It comes from the root word metaphor. Metaphor meaning a example. So you take fleshful, an action, an item, example of what you're trying to explain, a metaphor. And metaphorically, a slave or a servant for God is the key to being changed in Christ. It says that he was a bondservant. He was a slave, a servant to the Lord. But then it goes on and it talks about joy. It says, my brethren, count it all joy. So that doesn't mean that your joy is cut short. That doesn't mean that when you're laying on your deathbed, that it's not a joyous moment. That doesn't mean that when the worst of the worst is happening in your life, it's not a joyous moment. Because God says consider it all joy. And the issue why we can't consider it all joy is because we don't see the miraculous blessings in God every day. The things that He does. If you're laying on your deathbed and you can't see the joy in the fact that you're still alive, consider it all joy because you're still on this earth. Consider it all joy. In every situation in your life, the joy is the key concept because it's all joy. And if you keep joy inside of you, the light of God will shine through. And people will be able to see it. But how do you keep joy, you ask? Faith. That's what it says. See, it says, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. The NIV says produces perseverance. The blessing is in the wait is the title of our sermon today. There's a blessing in the wait. We have to have faith here in this house that we can wait on him to make it happen for us. Everybody comes through a different road to get here. Physically and symbolically. We take a different route to get to church. But you also take a different route than the next person to get to Christ. Everybody's route and path and way of doing things is individual. And it's individually designed with God based on the relationship that you have developed with him. But you have to have faith that he can do it. If you can't have faith that he can do it, then you're in this for the wrong reasons. You're coming to church for a fashion show. You're coming to church to see your mama or your grandmother or your brother or your sister, your cousin. It's just not a family reunion. Unless you're talking about the family of Christ. And at that point, you can get that family reunion at any church. Get out the way if you can't focus on faith. So we have to have faith in this house in order to make it progress. We have to have faith in this house that there's a blessing in the wait. And as long as we keep waiting and waiting and waiting on God's presence and waiting on God to move in this house, as long as we keep coming in here and doing exactly what God has called us to do every single week, every single day, and wait on him to make that miraculous move in this church. But if you can't see it that way, it's time for you to go someplace else. Because you cannot allow your evil spirits, your demons inside of you that can't help you see the faith inside of this house to block us from our blessings. God has put us in a particular situation and always so that he can show us the way out. If we don't believe and have faith in him when we are in our storm, then how can we believe and have faith in him when we're not? That's called fake faith. In the situation that you're in, you have joy because you have faith that God's going to move you through it. We started our church out in Crestwood. Now we're in PRP. Faith. Churches of this caliber, with this much land and this size building, are expensive. But the conference said, here, move in. Faith. Faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Me and Brother Bartles were out here the other day. We were getting a quote on somebody to come remove all of this lawnmower from the church. And this brother came up here with his wife, and he said, we live in PRP. How long have y'all been here? We didn't know y'all were here. We've been here quite a few years. He said, well, just about 2 years ago, we were looking for a new church. And had we known you were here, we'd have tried y'all out first. So now we drive to the West End to go to church when we could have went to church in our own neighborhood. He said, but I see a difference in this church right now. He said, I see that the limbs have been cut and the mulch has been planted and the parking lot's been paved. And I told my wife that I thought that this was a new church here. But he says, after meeting you guys, I've realized that you are a new church. That God has placed something new inside of you. And he has got the faith in us as Amazing Grace that we are on the brinks of a breakthrough. If we can have somebody who's not even a member of our church having more faith than some people in this house, we need to get it together. We need to come to an understanding. If we're on the brinks of a breakthrough, breakthrough, don't sit here and block it. Be a part of the breakthrough. Don't be the distraction, a roadblock, a way in between. We have to make ourselves come together as a family in Jesus Christ. Because if we come together as a family in Jesus Christ, nothing but your faith can make it happen. The word says stop doubting. It says that we doubt too much. That's what it is. We stop doubting. You get your paycheck, put 10% in the plate. Stop doubting that your lights are going to be turned off. That's what the truth is. If you feel God has called you to do a job in the church, you need to do it. Stop doubting. Just because you don't like the way a certain ministry is being ran doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a part of that ministry if God has called you to do that ministry. Because you can't affect a change in a ministry that is running with poor organization if you don't join a part of that ministry. Because the only way to affect a change is being a part of it. And giving your ideas. And not just giving an idea and going away, but giving an idea and staying there, present in that ministry, and continue the works, even when it doesn't go the way that you feel like that you go. Because at the end of the day, it's all about what the word says. And you might not be biblically astute enough to understand that the way that you're trying to do it might not be what the word says to do. You have to follow it based off the word. The word says stop doubting, have faith, consider it all joy. If you can't do all of that, you're blocking the blessing. And you're not only blocking the blessing inside of your life, but you're blocking the blessing inside of the church collectively. Now I want you to understand this one thing. What God will do in his house, he'll do in your house. It all goes together. You ever heard of Dave Ramsey? He talks about living the life of abundance. What does that sound like? The word, doesn't it? You know what the word says? Having abundance. He talks about living a life of debt-free. See, that's possible. It's really possible if you pay attention to what's going on in your life. But that's just like with the word. Things are possible if you pay attention to what's going on in your life. If we can sit in a church that's debt-free, why can't you be debt-free? Because what God will do in his house, he'll do in your house. But you have to have faith to believe that he's going to do it. It's never too late. It's never something that you can't do. But it's faith. It's knowing that God is going to take care of it. Do you understand the reason why he doesn't take care of the things that you're asking him to do it is because you blocked it? You didn't have the faith. And then you're sitting up and saying, well, he didn't do it. I don't understand what happened. I asked and I prayed and I asked and I prayed. But did you have the faith for him to do it? Somebody with true faith is going to come down here in altar prayer and leave a prayer of something they're asking God to do and not say nothing else about it. They might wait 5 years before God fulfills what they prayed for. But they had the faith to leave it there and allow God to deal with it. If you don't have true faith, you're going to go back home and pray about it again. For what? He heard your prayer before you even prayed. He knew it because if he walks really inside of you in a relationship with you, he's with you in every step of the way. He knew that problem you had before you even uttered it out your mouth. But you decide to keep uttering it and uttering it and uttering it. You know, the world is crazy. The things that you say comes back at you. The power of the tongue is so strong. And as long as you continuously say, I can't, it won't, I don't understand why, it's not happening, it's not going to happen. Because you're uttering into the world what you're getting back. You have to believe. The more you say, God's got it, oh, the Lord's got to take care of it, the more he's going to take care of it. He doesn't want to do it for you if you don't want him to do it. But the only way you can truly want him to do it is to have faith that he's going to take care of it for you. Amen. The word says, the birds in the sky, the fish in the sea, don't worry about where they're going to get their next meal from. They don't worry about it. But we get up every day and stress about it. And stress and stress and stress about it. What means that our King, God, is going to do less for us than he does for them? That's not the way it works. You have to have faith in what he's doing. You can't doubt him because you're going to be driven. Like the word says, it says, the doubts are like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. You know, when they got high tide at the beach, they said you can't get in the water. They don't even want you to go out to the beach. They want you to stay above the beach because high tide, what it'll do is it'll grab you, take you out to the sea, and you'll never see you seen again. You're not going to find your body. You might get eaten by a shark, you might not, you might drown to death, you don't know. It's high tide. But see, the doubting is high tide. The more you doubt, the more the waves of the sea are going to come in, grab you, and take you out to the sea and discard you and get rid of you. And there's going to be a point at which you can fail yourself from your blessing far enough that you out there. It's called hell. Your blessing is hell. We so worried about the blessings of a car. We so worried about the blessings of a house. We so worried about the blessings of the money in our pocket. And forgetting about the fact that your true blessing is waiting for you in heaven. Hell is the sea. The lake of fire, hello, wake up. Tide's going to come in like a sea with the wind. Take you out. Throw you in the fire. Throw you away. You ain't going to sit there forever. First, you're going to go to hell for 1,000 years and be tormented. It's like the word in Revelation says hell is like a prison where you're tormented by devils and demons for 1,000 years. And then you get released. But you go to the lake of fire. And sit there for eternity. Last thing I want to do is get caught up in that text. It's black and white, ladies and gentlemen. It's black and white. It is what it is. Sometimes you cannot sugarcoat things anymore. Sometimes you have to be reality of the fact of the matter that God is waiting on you. He's sitting there waiting on you from the day that you were conceived. He's been waiting. He knew your name before your birth. You think it was your mama's decision? It was. God decided what your name was.
All right.
How many times in the Bible they say, this is what I named my baby and this is what it means? Because God said, this is what you're going to name your baby because it means this. And this is going on in your life because God gave you a baby to teach you a lesson about what's going on in your life right now. It's about faith. Sometimes you have to practice faith in order to move forward. You have to come to an understanding that your faith gets you through. You have to wait on him. You got to wait on him like a waitress. You got to keep refilling this cup. You got to keep bringing to him to his table. You got to keep serving him. You got to keep doing what he says to do. We are like his butler. We do his dirty work. We the Christian mafia. We out here trying to get our hands and feet dirty for him in any way possible. Miss May used to say all the time, by any means necessary, we're going to serve the Lord. We're going to give him the glory. We are going to preserve ourselves, but you have to have faith in order to do it. If you don't have faith in the Lord, you don't have nothing. God has designed in our life a strict instruction for him. It's perseverance, patience. If you don't have patience, you're wasting your time. We can be as stressed out as we are about things that go on in our church. Be frustrated because we say we're going to do something and it never happens. Or you feel like things are being ran with unorganization. Or you feel like we can't afford as a church to do the things that we're doing. But we have to have faith that God's going to fix it. But that starts with your personal faith. If you don't have a personal faith in God, a personal faith in the church can't grow and develop. That's how it works. You have to have the faith to get out here and do the work that the church needs us to do. You have to have the faith to put in your tithes, because as quiet as it's kept, it does cost to do ministry, because ministry is an electric bill. Ministry is a water bill. As quiet as it's kept, it takes it. We have to have the faith in God for our own personal life, that it will develop in the life of our church. Because what he does in his house, he's already going to do in our house.
Yes, yes.
There's too many jobs out here for us to do in this church that aren't being done. We started this church and ran so many years of things that we were doing. Every single position, every single event was delegated by our pastor. And if the pastor didn't say, you're going to be over this event, you're going to be over the food, it didn't get done. Yeah. We've gotten so caught up in that flow of thinking that when we ask for volunteers, nobody's volunteering because they're waiting to be appointed. But when they are appointed, they're frustrated because they feel like that the pastor just keeps on putting things on them and having them do this and doing that. But if we would step up to the plate and volunteer, hey, I'll do this because God's called me to do that. Then you'll be in your lane, you'll be in a situation of something that you enjoy doing, that you feel like you're giving the glory to God instead of doing something that's not for you. Because you was appointed to do it. We wouldn't have to appoint people to do certain things if people would just step up to the plate and do the things that need to be done. See, the church has to be ran. There's a day-to-day operations in the church and everything that goes on in the church. And we have to love God and have the faith in God that he's going to take care of everything that we need to be here and show out for the things that are going on. We can't keep having second services and everybody goes home after the first service. We can't do that. We can't keep having choir rehearsal and nobody shows up for choir rehearsal. It doesn't work that way. We can't keep having people not following the direct code of conduct that the word has laid out for us. It's about responsibility. If you can't step up to the plate and have responsibility for what's going on inside of our church, you're not really saved. Because what it means to be saved means that I have been changed. So that doesn't mean the first month, the first week, the first year, you're going to jump up and just do everything in the church. But as you grow and as you learn and as you come to an understanding with God, you should be taking one step at a time, doing more and more, and becoming less of yourself and more of him. Because the only thing that will survive in your life is what you do for him. And I promise you, if you watch the more that you do for God, the better your life's going to seem. Not that the things in your life is going to be easier. Not that the situation in your life is going to change. But your mindset and the way of thinking about it is going to be a whole lot less dramatic. Your way of thinking is going to be so much smoother, and you're going to deal with it and take the punches as they roll. God has designed it for us that way. He didn't say being saved is going to be easy. But what he said is it's going to be a change in your life. And you should want to be someplace that you are learning, growing, and getting educated about the word so that we don't have to be so biblically ignorant about what this word says. If you can't understand the King James Version, not understand, get an NIV, get a Message Bible. There's all these words that you can get. If you still don't understand it, you need to come to church, Sunday school, Bible study. You need to go to the services where you get the opportunity to dig deeper and grow a deeper understanding your relationship. I understand. If you got to work, you can't be here. It is what it is. You got to pay bills. But if you don't have to work, there's no excuse for you to not be here. There's too many people in this church coming from too many different directions. You don't have gas in your car, call somebody and ask for a carpool. We've got to get to a point where we have so much faith in this church that we run to the sanctuary every Sunday. We run to the fellowship hall for Sunday school. We have to have the faith in God that he's going to work it out for us. The faith starts with inside yourself. If you don't have faith in him, the church can't have faith as a whole because we have too many people with no faith. Don't be the roadblock that stops you from progressing in this church. Amen. Amen. Everybody on the feet. Everybody on the feet. Right now is the time. If you feel like you don't want to be a roadblock anymore, and you want to grow here at this church, come on down to the altar. Let's talk about it. If you feel like God has convicted you in some sort of a way, come on down to the altar. Let's talk about it. If you feel like there's a passion in you, a newfound passion for God, let's come to the altar and talk about it. If you want to make Amazing Grace your church home, there's two ways you can do it. By candidate of baptism, meaning I've never been saved before. I want to know him. I want to feel the water of the womb break through. And I want to be a part of what we've got going on here at Amazing Grace. Come on down, let's talk about it. Or you got Christian experience saying, I've been saved, I've been to this church, that church, or I've been at this church for a long time, but I now want to make this my church home. Come on down, let's talk about it. As our ministers come forward, if you just need prayer, if you just need prayer, come on down and get the prayer that you need. God said he will meet you where you are at. Let's make this more personal. Lean to the person next to you and say, are you saved? Do you have a church home? They can't say yes to both those answers. Tell them, come on, I'll walk with you. Come on down to the altar, I'll walk with you. If you still ain't comfortable enough, raise your hand, we'll come to you. Any way possible, God wants to meet you where you at. Let's come into a saving relationship with him, not a deathful relationship with him. Amen. Amen. It's tithes and offering time.